Today I'm going to be showing you how to find below market value deals online, how to analyze them, and how to carry out comparable analysis like a valuer would. And all of this will mean that you can invest better, smarter, and wiser. So let's get going. We're starting with Rightmove, which is the predominant search engine for properties. I'm going to be looking at Redcar. It is one of our favorite areas in the Northeast to invest because there's so much regeneration investment going on there. So I'm going to go into this, and then this is the first thing you need to do is you need to start narrowing down your choices and filters on the area. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say number of bedrooms. I'm not looking at studios, not looking at flats, small flats, because I know that the better yields in the slightly larger property. So I'm going to look at 2 beds upwards. I'm going to put a max in of around 125 because generally speaking, that is where the sort of sweet spot is, below 125. I'm going to leave the minimum as is, and that's all I'm going to put in for the moment. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top here and go to filters, and then I don't want it to show me any new homes because I'm not interested in new builds. I'm not interested in retirement homes, and I'm not interested in any shared ownership schemes as well. So this is what I've got now in terms of search. I have 58 properties to look at, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and go to lowest price first because I don't want to be looking at the sort of higher value stuff. Because I'm looking for below market value properties, I'm looking for something that looks a tiny bit run down, and I'm also going to ignore anything that says auction or anything that says tenanted. So you'll see it here. If it says bid, it says bid here, it says bid here, and auction here. The reason you can tell if it's auction is it will have guide price. So that's the key thing to look out for, is to know whether it's an auction property or not. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to talk about auction properties, but that is a great way to find below market value. This could be an interesting one because it's 40,000. Could be some value in that. Just have a quick look at the condition. See, it looks like it's in fairly good condition. Looks like someone has refurbed it. So I'm going to discount that one. It's also a flat, so I'm going to discount that because given its condition, it might not be that there is much sort of value to be added there. Another flat. I'm actually going to not look at flats in this area because I actually know that this area has better options if it's a terrace. And you can see that I've also got an additional extension. This is not something that's part of Rightmove. This is an extension that I use to sort of track property prices and how they change over time. It's a really useful tool to add on. It's a Chrome extension to add on to Rightmove, so you can track price differences, and also it shows you where the properties have come on and off the market as well. So this is the first terrace I've come to, and I can sort of see that it looks empty, and I can see that it looks slightly, like it needs a little bit of love and attention. So I'm going to have a look at this one. So first impressions are, it looks okay from the outside. I can see that the other properties have had new guttering, but this one hasn't. I can see that probably needs some new flooring. It looks like it's a tenanted property, I think, because it's got barely any furniture in it, barely any possessions. Doesn't look like it's got a cooker in it at the moment. So obviously, this is looking a little bit disheveled, and there could definitely be some opportunities to, potentially change that kitchen if the price was right, and potentially paint the units is a cost-effective way of doing it. Garden looks okay. Carpets look fairly new. There is some staining over here that I can't tell what it is, so that could be damp, so that would need some further investigation over here, or it might just mean that this property needs a bit of a paint. The doors look fairly new, and this room looks okay. New carpets. The bathroom, I bet it needs a bit of work. These tiles look like they're pretty old. This bath looks a bit rubbish. There's some penetrating damp over here. It's probably likely to be from pointing or from the guttering. So that bathroom potentially is, at the very least, needs a paint and some new tiles, but potentially, if the comparables are right, we might change the whole thing. It's got a flat roof. Can't really tell how good that is, but that would be something to look out for on viewing. So yeah, it's kind of average condition. It's 60 grand at the moment. I know this area, it's fairly good area because you see this Tees Works here. That's where there's a big factory for renewables energies being built, and there's quite a few other projects there, so it is in a good location for that. So it would definitely be a good buy to let in terms of location. So the next thing we need to do is we need to look at its size in terms of square meterage, and how does that compare to other properties in the area, because we need to work out, well, if we did a refurb on this property, what would it be worth? So we're trying to work out the market value. I don't really tend to take much notice of the description. I have a bit of a skim read to see if there's any keywords that stick out. So if it's tenanted, for example, and it says no forward chain, which makes me also think that it's an ex-land buy to let. You can see the sizes here, but that's not going to help me. Go to the EPC register. We need to find the property postcode on this property. So website called check my postcode, and it says the postcode of this property. The other thing I need to work out the size of the property is to find the full address. You can sometimes spot the numbers on the front of the property. I can't on this one. Another way of finding out the property number is to go to Zoopla, is to put in the postcode. It will come up with all of the properties in the area. We know that this property last sold in 2021 for 58,000. So I'm looking for 58,000, basically it's here. So I know that this property is number 136. So I will go to my EPC, I will put in here the postcode, and I know it's 136. So 136. I'm not looking for the rating here, I'm looking for the square meterage. So it's 68 square meters. So that's the first thing I need to know. Now I'm looking at the comparables. So I've gone to sold prices on Rightmove, and this will show me all of the sold prices in the local area. The local area, I'm not going to go out further than that and look at the data, because I want to know what the value of the street is. Based on the value of the street so far, we can see that the last sold was 58,000. Then we've got R1 that sold 58,000 and 60,000. So basically we can see that the ceiling price for the street so far is 60,000, which means that our property is selling for 60,000, which means that currently, as things stand, it doesn't look like this property is a good deal. But what I will do is just extend it out a little bit, because this is a long street. So sometimes streets have two different postcodes. So if you only put this area only, you will only look within that postcode. And then you can see something interesting, which is this property at the top, which is 82,000 for a 3-bed, and that sold very recently. We're looking for comparables within the last 6 to 12 months, where anything else beyond that isn't relevant, but we can use it as a bit of a guide like I did before. So we can see other comparables in the area have sold for 70,000, 60,000, but we have to assess the condition. It's not just about what they've sold for. I can sort of see that isn't a new property. So I'm just having a sort of general look at the moment, and I will go a little bit deeper. So there's another one on the same street for 80,000. So we've got 3 beds, seems to be worth 80,000 on this street. And then we've got another one that's sold on the same street for 90,000. So looking at these comparables, we can see that on the face of it, ours is a 2-bed at 60,000. We've got a 3-bed, 2 3-beds that have sold on the same street for 82,000 in the last 6 months. We've also got a 2-bed within the same square mile, which has sold for 70,000. So we are here, I'm looking at properties in this Broadway here. So this is within the same area and within a quarter mile, and it is a 2-bed for 70,000. Let's look at the condition. I would say that it's sort of similar condition to ours. Actually, this one has got a nicer bathroom and new carpets. Doesn't really need much work. It's got spotlights in it. You could say that actually this property is a good comparable for ours, because in terms of market value of what ours could be worth if we did some work on it. So let's look at ours, because it's the same property. So their property is in nicer condition in terms of the bathroom and the painting. So in the Northeast, I know that there's normally a 10 to 15,000 pound difference between bedrooms. The fact that this is on for 60 and we found a comparable for 70 at 2 beds, and then we found a comparable on the same street for, which is a 3-bed at 80,000, kind of like stacks up. So the next thing I want to do is I just want to make sure I understand the square meterages of these properties. So it's also just worth looking at where they are as well, and they're all in the quarter of a mile, which is what we want, because when you do comparables, you want to look at things on the same street. You then want to look at things that are a quarter of a mile away, and the things on the same street are the first priority in terms of comparables, and then you go out a bit further and look at things within a quarter of a mile. And we know this is on the same street. It's all Broadway West, even though it's quite a long road. We know that this property is essentially on the same road and it's just a little bit further along. So we're going to look at the EPCs for these properties. So I'm going to find So we were looking at 54. And I'm doing this because I just want to double check what the square meter is. Yes, see, it's about 18 square meters more than R1. And that kind of stacks up because it's a 3-bed, and roughly speaking, if it's a large 3-bed, it's potentially that the square meterage difference is about 15 square meters for a bedroom. So we know that one. If you're enjoying this video today, please do subscribe to our channel. We really want more and more people to see this content, so it really does help get this out to them. Thanks so much. And the other thing I want to see is the comparable, which is the £70,000 one, which is, I want to see square meterage of this comparable. So this is number 23. So number 23, 63 square meters. We know ours is 68 square meters, so that is the same size, because we need to be comparing like for like. We need to be comparing a similar size 2-bed to a similar size 2-bed. What I'm going to say is that this is a below market value property. I think if you did the bathroom and gave it a lick of paint, that you could get a value of 70,000 based on this comparable. So we found a below market value property and gone through a set of steps to analyze it and to ensure that we know what the comparables are. We know how to find the square meterage. We know how to do a set of analysis on it in terms of comparables, ensuring that we're getting like for like, ensuring that we're looking at the street value, ensure we're looking at comparables within the last 6 to 12 months and on the quarter of a mile. So the final step here is to then see what rent it will get as well. So the way to do this is to go to Rightmove rent, and then you look for properties in that area to find similar kind of rental numbers. Okay, we've got this new build, which is a flat, and it's 450. Looking at open rent here, and we can see the lets agreed. So is there anything, what's this one here? This one is 575, 2-bed semi-detached house, is in pretty good condition. What else is there in the area? Not really much else in this area that has gone recently. These are a little bit further away. You can see the distance here. So this requires some deeper due diligence. The next thing I would also do is ring some letting agents. I know that 575 though for that area is actually the right value. So I'm going to go to my deal analyzer now and put all of these numbers in. So we're saying £70,000, what is worth, offer price, let's say £59,000. So that calculates all my stamp duty, and the mortgage unfortunately isn't 3.6 anymore, so let's put that at 6, and then we put in the rent here at 575, and then we'll get a figure of, see here, of a net profit of 198 after costs. My mortgage is £221 a month. That is a return on investment of 11.9%, and that is a rental yield of basically 11.5%. So we know it's below market value. We would need to factor in the refurb costs, but that is definitely a conversation and a video for another day, so I'm not going to go through that. So that's how you find below market value properties online. It's a whole sort of step-by-step process there that I've just gone through using Rightmove, but obviously you can do a similar process based on other sites and focusing on your area of investment. And it's just about following those steps and ensuring that you're doing the same process every time to ensure consistency, and you're using a deal analyzer to make sure you're getting your numbers right and there is no errors on that. So good luck, and I hope you get some good deals. And that's it, and that's another video done for today. Thanks so much for watching this and staying till the end. Really appreciate your support. So if you can do me a last favor, if you can subscribe to this channel, it really does help us to grow, and I really appreciate all your support and love and attention. So thanks very much, guys.